Sound of wind whistling through cactus fields. Insects hum. A faint coyote howl echoes in the distance. Narrator, low, calm, eerie tone. The Sonoran Desert. It stretches across southern Arizona into California and deep into northern Mexico. It's a landscape of fire and silence. By day, the sun burns everything in sight. By night, the air drops cold enough to freeze your bones. It's the kind of place where time feels frozen, and where secrets can sleep for decades buried beneath the sand. But the Sonoran Desert doesn't forget. It remembers, quietly, patiently, and every few years, it exhales something terrible. In 1997, a Border Patrol officer named David Castillo was driving his night route near the small town of Ajo, Arizona, when his headlights caught something strange, a patch of freshly disturbed dirt near a dry wash, where no one should have been digging. At first he thought it was a coyote den. But as he got closer he smelled something sharp and rotten, something that made the back of his throat sting. He called for backup. By dawn, investigators arrived and began digging. It didn't take long to find what was hidden. Buried less than 2 feet deep was a woman's body, her skin mummified by the desert heat, her clothes shredded, her hands bound with a torn shoelace. No ID. No wallet. Only a silver ring and a torn blue t-shirt. She became known as Jane Doe of the Sand. The case shocked local law enforcement. But as the weeks turned into months, another body surfaced. This time a young man 20 miles away with the same signs of restraint and a gunshot wound to the chest. And then another. And another. By 2003, 9 bodies had been found, scattered across the Sonoran like pieces of a puzzle no one could finish. Men and women, mostly migrants, all buried shallow, all murdered. The FBI stepped in, suspecting organized trafficking or cartel violence. But there was something different about these deaths. Each body was buried with strange care, positioned neatly as if someone had performed a ritual. And near several graves, carved into nearby rocks, investigators found the same symbol, a crude scorpion. At first no one paid attention to it. But over time, as the symbol appeared again and again, it became the case's dark signature. Locals began to whisper about the killings. Truck drivers spoke of headlights following them through the night, only to disappear when they stopped. Hikers reported hearing screams echoing through the canyons, then finding nothing. And one miner working near the old Ajo mines claimed to see a figure standing motionless on a ridge, just watching him, before vanishing into the heat haze. They started calling him El Fantasma del Desierto, the ghost of the desert. A phantom killer. A shadow that moved with the sandstorms. A man who knew the desert better than anyone. 4 years, authorities hunted for a suspect. Smugglers, traffickers, serial offenders, but every lead turned to dust. The desert erased everything: footprints, tire tracks, blood, bone. Even the heat destroyed DNA before labs could test it. By 2004, the killings stopped. The files gathered dust in police archives. And just like that, the desert went quiet again. But in the Sonoran, silence doesn't mean peace. It means something's waiting to be found. Music fades into a low hum of wind and heartbeat rhythm as the screen darkens. The wind grows louder. The faint buzz of insects returns. Title fades in slowly. Narrator. For nearly a decade, the Sonoran Desert held its breath. Until, in 2012, the sands shifted once again. A construction crew working near Casa Grande, Arizona, unearthed something unexpected. One of the workers noticed bones poking out of the soil, small, thin, pale against the dark earth. At first, they thought it was an animal. But when they brushed off more sand, they found a skull, human and remarkably intact. Within hours, law enforcement sealed the site. The desert, once again, was giving up its dead. During the excavation, forensic teams found something chilling. On the left wrist of the body, still clinging to the bone, was a faint black scorpion tattoo. Detective Luis Ortega, who had investigated the original desert murders years before, was called out of retirement to help. He'd seen that symbol before, carved on rocks beside the old graves. The discovery reignited a case that had haunted Arizona law enforcement for over a decade. Could it be the same killer? Had El Fantasma del Desierto returned? Ortega dove into the old files, tracing every name, every victim, every unsolved disappearance between Tucson and Yuma. And when DNA results came back from the Casa Grande skeleton, something unbelievable appeared on his screen. Miguel El Zurdo Herrera. Low base, no builds, like a pulse. Herrera was a smuggler, a quiet, ruthless man from Sonora, Mexico. In the late 1990s, he ran trafficking routes through the desert, known for transporting people across the border. But there were darker stories. Whispers from survivors. Rumors that he kidnapped migrants who couldn't pay, tortured them, buried them alive. They called him El Scorpion, the Scorpion. He wore the symbol himself, inked on his wrist, and carved it near his victims' graves. Witnesses described him as tall, silent, always wearing mirrored sunglasses even at night. He'd smoke as he watched his victims dig. Sometimes he'd shoot them. Sometimes he'd just walk away, leaving them lost and dehydrated, letting the desert finish the job. Herrera vanished in 2004 after a violent shootout near Sonoran, Mexico. Some said he died. Others swore he simply changed his name and disappeared. No body was ever found. Until now. The forensic DNA at the Casa Grande site didn't just match Herrera's victims. It matched Herrera himself. Traces of his skin cells, his blood, under the victim's fingernails. Meaning the killer had been there when she died. And if that body was found in 2012, it meant Herrera might have been alive long after the world thought he was dead. Driven by obsession, Ortega returned to the desert. He used drone scans, satellite maps, and forensic dogs. And in the summer of 2015, his search paid off. Deep in the Growler Valley, near the restricted military zone, they found 6 new burial sites. Each grave was shallow. Each victim buried with deliberate precision. And in every single one, near the headstone or nearby rock, was that same scorpion symbol carved deep into the stone. The pattern was clear. But something about the burial style had changed, more careful, more recent, almost as if the killer was trying to communicate. When the FBI reopened the file, they realized the truth. The scorpion wasn't just a mark. It was a signature. And whoever was leaving it behind wanted the world to know that El Scorpion had returned. In 2016, an anonymous call came to the Pima County Sheriff's Office. The voice on the phone was calm, untraceable. The man claimed he'd found something near an abandoned road leading toward Cabeza Prieta National Wildlife Refuge, a place few dared to enter. He said there was a grave, freshly dug. When officers arrived, they found it. And inside, 2 bodies. One male, one female. Both buried side by side, holding each other. On a rock near the grave was the mark again, a scorpion, freshly carved. But when forensic testing began, the results left everyone speechless. The male corpse matched the DNA of Miguel Herrera, the same man believed to be the Sonoran Desert Killer. And the woman? Unidentified. But her hands were locked tightly around Herrera's neck bones, as if she had strangled him. Had one of his victims finally fought back? Was this poetic justice, or a setup? No one could say. Most investigators wanted to close the case there. The monster was dead. But Ortega wasn't satisfied. 3 years later, in 2019, hikers exploring an old mining trail west of Gila Bend stumbled upon another grave. Fresh. The same shallow burial, the same precision. And beside the grave, another scorpion symbol carved into sandstone. DNA results showed the victim had died in 2018, long after Herrera's supposed death. Meaning someone had continued his ritual. A copycat. A follower. Or maybe, someone else who knew the truth about what really happened in 2016. Wind howls. Thunder rolls faintly in the distance. Today, the Sonoran Desert remains littered with stories of people who never came back. Migrants, travelers, wanderers, all swallowed by the sand. And every few years, when the monsoon rains come and the dunes shift, the desert exhales its ghosts. Sometimes it's a bone, sometimes a ring, sometimes a name on a weathered tag. And sometimes, just sometimes, it's a mark carved into stone. A scorpion. Locals say if you drive alone on the old desert highways after midnight, you'll see strange lights in your rearview mirror, headlights that follow you for miles, then vanish without a trace. And if you stop, you might find a scorpion drawn into the dust on your window. No one knows who does it. No one ever sees them. But the people who live near Ajo and Casa Grande will tell you, it's better not to stop. Better not to look back. Because in the Sonoran Desert, the wind remembers. The sand remembers. And somewhere out there, beneath the stars and the heat, the ghosts of the Sonoran are still whispering, waiting to be found. Soft eerie music swells, fade to black. Narrator, final voice. This is the story of the Sonoran Desert Murders. A trail of bones, sand, and silence. And a mystery that refuses to stay buried. Music fades out. End screen. Narrator, final voice. The case remains unsolved. The victims remain unnamed. And the Sonoran Desert, quiet, endless, eternal, continues to keep its secrets. Maybe someday the truth will surface. But until then, every gust of wind, every shifting dune, could be hiding a story. A grave. A ghost.